Everybody knows that Carvin's been making great musical instruments and PA stuff forever. In fact, going back to my Starship days, I was playing all Carvin guitars and their live guitar amps and stuff. But what a lot of people might not be aware of is that they also make incredible studio equipment. And I've been using their studio mixing boards and power amps in the studio and speakers for, gosh, going back to the Starship days, but even more so with my solo stuff. And when my solo record started going #1 and we started getting a Grammy nomination for a recording and I'd see my name there, I would always think back, if it wasn't for Carvin, this wouldn't be happening, because I've used their various generations of mixing boards up to the current one right here, and they always seem to keep up with the technology. As you can see, the computers have gotten faster and more powerful and more helpful, and so has Carvin's equipment. So they've been there in my studio for 15 years. They make a lot of stuff for the studio, like great microphones, cables, patch bays you can get, all sorts of stuff that's part of the tools of the trade for recording, and it can all be gotten in one spot from Carvin, and it's all great stuff. We've used it on our records. We've used their tube mics. We've used all their different mics on percussion and stuff. I am using the SL40, and it's almost more than I need, you know, because I've got the music software that allows me to do some sub mixes, but whenever I need some detail or to get something in one spot where I can listen to it and solo it and get to it quick, I'm kind of from the old school where I'm used to analog, getting my hands on the faders and changing effects and doing stuff. So Carvin has all of that stuff laid out in a totally professional way where you can assign things where you want them to go. You can get them to come up where you want. You can get great EQ. You have a ton of sins for different analog effects. So to me, I'm kind of coming from those days of recording going back to the 70s, and now here in the aughts, you know, trying to get that best of both worlds. And it's a wonderful feeling to have all the technology at your disposal, but to also be able to get to what you're familiar with a great state-of-the-art mixing board with all the analog features too.
In the studio, in actually my studio right here, I have a Carvin power amp that I've had for, I believe, like 5 years. It's one of the newer ones, and it sounds really good. It's quiet, it's loud, it's punchy, and you know, it hasn't blown up, so I'm still using it.
The op amps are just so natural. I can actually go through this board. A lot of people avoid their board when they're making any sort of a mix. I can use this board. It's actually a usable sound for me, and especially when I'm pre-mixing stuff and doing sending MP3s to Craig for our sort of each approval of what we're doing. If he wants to approve of the keyboards, I want to approve of his guitars, and we want to get on with the next part of the project. We listen to it, and this is I might as well be listening on a big studio board. This is it. It's a great sound.
Our saxophone player loves their mics, and especially when he started hearing himself on the radio on these #1 radio tracks, I think he really fell in love with the Carvin mics at that point.
And I've been using two of the Carvin mics, and I'm telling you, I've gotten nothing but rave reviews about them. So, and my own rave reviews, because they sound superb. I mean, I would put them up against any microphone out there. I've been using them on sax.
I love the Carvin microphones. I've been using the microphones for my studio. You know, I did my vocals on my last album with the Carvin beautiful mics. You know, just great.
It's great that they make all this incredible studio gear. You know, you can put together a whole studio just with one phone call. And then if you learn how to play and write songs, then you'd have it made. I'm still working on that part, but I know who to call.